It was wet, it was cold, and I was asking themselves, what if? Iowa falls to number 9, Oregon, 18-16. What went wrong for the Hawkeyes, and where does Iowa turn for here?
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We are available wherever you find podcasts. You can also watch us on YouTube. While you're there, make sure you hit that subscribe button and help us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. Well, here we are. I am Trent Condon, back from Iowa City after a chilly, wet morning, afternoon, and into the evening as Iowa falls 18-16 to Oregon. I've been covering the Hawkeyes for over 20 years on the radio, including currently on the Iowa Sports Radio Network with stations all across the state of Iowa, and here with you daily on Locked On Hawkeyes. Rapid reaction after this one. Get back, pick up the kids, get back to the house, get a little grub, and just thinking about this game in all different turns and what could have been for this Iowa football team, what could have been with making one more play, with making one less mistake, what this could have turned out to be, because throughout the afternoon, it felt like this was going to be another fair and special, that Iowa was going to find a way to get it done, that 93-yard drive to take the lead, 16-15, and I was going to walk out a winner. All you need is a stop, and they can't get the stop as Oregon marches down the field, gets in range for a field goal. They didn't do it maybe the way that a lot of people expected them to, but that was a tough physical team, and they out-toughed Iowa. They out-Iowa'd Iowa in the football game, and that leads to the frustration I know that a lot of us have. It was there for the taking. And in a week, and really 2 weeks, where this game has been built up so much. In a week that we were looking at weather forecasts and we were looking at the injury and the injury concerns for Oregon that continue to pile up as we got closer and closer to game time. And Iowa had it there for the taking. A turnover in the red zone where Iowa can't have that. Giving them 2 points on a snap that goes over the head of the punter, Reese Dakin, who makes a heads-up play and kicks it out of the end zone. Oh, that took a little bit of work to get there. In a 2-point game. We told you earlier in the week, everydayers, you hear me say this often. To pull an upset, you don't have to play perfect, but you have to play clean. And Iowa, once again, was not able to play clean enough to win a football game against a top 10 team. They had Indiana on the ropes. They had Oregon on the ropes. But those little things that Iowa can't afford, they show up again in this one. Credit to Oregon and the way they were able to run the football against this Iowa team. From Noah Whittington, who goes for 118 yards, averaging 6.9 yards per carry in the game. Davison, 6.5. Dante Moore, who came up lame on his long run, a 49-yarder, and that's all he got. But still, he averages 11.5 yards per carry because of that 49-yarder. This team, Oregon, got it done. And they got it playing the Iowa style. Now, I don't want to miss this fact because the lead up to this game has been incredibly fun. The back and forth, the national commentators talking about Iowa in such a great light. And they showed up. And Iowa was there. And Iowa did the Iowa things, for the most part, that we're so used to. Is it just the ball bouncing? It's an oblong football and it's going to make bounces. And those bounces in these close games are not going the way that they once did for Iowa, perhaps. But they also had some breaks in this game, too. They also had some opportunities, yes. But some breaks went their way. On a 4th-and-1 rush for Mark Gronowski where the ball's on his leg. To an interception that Deshaun Lee makes in the end zone, that if Dante Moore throws that ball earlier, it's a touchdown. And Lee made an incredible play, cutting back under and getting the INT. Now, the what ifs are going to mount, and they're going to be frustrating, and it's going to be here. But Iowa just made too many mistakes in a game like this. And ultimately, as we saw a year ago against Iowa State, you just need to stop. And the defense couldn't get the stop. I also thought it was a really heads-up play on that final drive of the game for Oregon as they ran the ball on first down. And I'll be honest, what are you doing? I mean, clock's ticking, but they got the ball, had all 3 timeouts, minute 51 left. And that 4-yard run by Whittington just had Iowa back on their heels a little bit more. And just with the anticipation that there could be a run, that they're not getting up there. They didn't go too fast. They didn't kind of get out of control, and not being able for Iowa to get that stop to make it done. Missed tackles, inability to wrap up, allowing Oregon, and that's something that we talked about leading into the game, is Oregon was so good this year. Yards after contact, and they did it again in this football game. The yards after contact were huge in this one. Oregon finishes with 373 yards of total offense, but 261 rushing against Iowa's 101. And even if you take away the 39 yards on the snap over the head of Reese Dakin, Iowa ran for 140 and threw it for 138. Iowa passed the ball better than Oregon. Iowa went 3 for 4 on fourth down. Oregon didn't go for it on fourth down. How about this? Oregon just 3 of 10 on third down. I mean, these are winning numbers, and that's where the frustration lies. Because it would have given us another week to dream. It would have given us another week of talking about this squad, and if they run the table, they're in the college football playoff. And now that's off the table. Even if Iowa somehow, some way, can find a way to go to USC, wrap up with wins against Michigan State and Nebraska at 9-3, there's just not enough meat on that resume for them to be a college football playoff team. But even if we get upsets all over the place and we got craziness, it's just not going to happen. So that's off the board. And, you go back to a decade ago as they honored the 2015 team on the field today at a Kinnick Stadium. And Laura Vandenberg interviewing her husband. And then their little guy giving a big go Hawks. You think back to 2015. They took that tough loss in the Big Ten championship game to another green-clad team in Michigan State. And we saw there was nothing left in the tank. And you do wonder what's left in the tank for this squad as they have to go out to California like that team did. They show up against Stanford and get run off the field. It's not a prediction, just a thought of what awaits them next week against USC. Now, the good news is Iowa, historically, they do a good job in those kind of spots. And this is not a program that lies down. We'll get to next week. Chance to certainly change the narrative of Iowa on the West Coast against USC, but that is to be previewed next week. Back to this one. Mark Gronowski. Some of the throws after settle down, shaky moments early in the football game for Gronowski. I was surprised that they didn't use more of him in the run game. Just 12 carries, 25 yards. The touchdown that gave Iowa the lead. What a hideous defensive performance on that play by Oregon. So Iowa empties out the backfield. And when Iowa empties it out, they leave 3 defensive linemen on the field in the middle and 1 linebacker. So Iowa's 5-on-4 with Gronowski there. They get the edge sealed as the linebacker came in too far, thinking Gronowski was going up the middle. And he plunges in, and Iowa takes the lead. And then, Iowa's got to go for 2. 5 of 23, I believe, is the number in their last 23 two-point conversion attempts. They throw the ball. It was there. It was a weird play. It was right in front of us at Kinnick. And you could see he was clearly out of bounds. They go to replay, and he's clearly out of bounds. So you wipe that one off. And instead of overtime at 18-18, even if Oregon does run the field and march down the field as they did, instead, it's an L. And Iowa falls to 6-3 on the year. This one's tough to swallow. I mean, this one is going to linger, I think, for a long time. It's another ranked loss, but the ranked loss narrative that was out there, it wasn't that they were losing to ranked teams. It was that they're getting pulverized. And that's not the case anymore. They're a completed screen pass away from beating Indiana. They're a stop away from beating Oregon. They're close. These are excellent teams. Indiana and Oregon are excellent football teams. And I was that close to get it done. But they didn't. And they have to find a way to finally get over that hump. Get another opportunity against a ranked team, this time on the road next week against USC. I mentioned Gronowski. Would have liked to see them. Also surprised in this kind of game. So they use the old pitch play that we saw in Minnesota, 4 or 5 years ago, used so much against Iowa, and try to get Kamori Moulton in some space. It just didn't have a ton there. He ran hard. Just wasn't a whole lot of room. That Oregon team, they're built. They're absolutely built in a big-time way. Was certainly disappointed to see the very classless nature of Oregon. A bunch of their players ran over to the end zone after the game, and they were hooting and hollering at the player, the Hawkeye fans down in the north end zone. One player ran over to the student section, number 4, one of their wide receivers. He was looking like a buffoon Benson. He was hooting and hollering over there. Disappointing to see that from Oregon. In a tough physical game like that, at a game where I think I gained even more respect for Oregon, quickly dissipated with some classless players. But that doesn't matter. I mean, we're just fans. And a little butthurt after losing the game. Yeah, as a fan. You can tell the voice isn't doing very well. A lot of yelling. Great environment. It was cold. It was wet. Still, Kinnick Stadium. It brought it again. And Hawkeye fans, you brought it once again. I don't know how it showed up. Watch the game on Sunday night again, as we always do, and give you kind of our second look recap of things on Monday's show. But, man, Kinnick, Hawkeye fans, Iowans, and we can disagree on some things. We can have our infighting that we have. But the way that stadium just pops, the way that special things happen inside that stadium, and we're so close to that moment. So, where does it go from here? And what's left to play for the rest of the season? We'll tackle that as we continue on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Need parts fast for a project? Supply House has next-day delivery. Talk about an absolute game changer. The part finder tools and 3D schematics can save you hours on jobs where every detail matters. Love that part of what they do for you. And how about this? You can join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use the promo code. It's SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. Today's episode of Locked On Hawkeyes is also brought to you by FanDuel. Well, as we make our way through the football season, the NBA, it is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. Line's already out for next week's game at USC. The Hawkeyes a 6.5-point underdog against the Trojans, plus 188 on the money line with an over-under of 49.5, and you can jump right there to FanDuel and take your shot. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game. With FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA, FanDuel Trent Condon back with you. Rapid reaction on this Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. A quick one here for you as we are back. We are starting to thaw out a little bit from the chilly one at Kinnick Stadium as Iowa falls 18-16 to 9th-ranked Oregon. Where does it go from here? Well, we know the schedule. USC, Michigan State, then Nebraska to wrap up the season. We know what this team still can do. Get to 9-3, running the table. They'll be bowl eligible again, as they already are. There'll be a bowl game. Could be back to Tampa. Could be a trip to Vegas. Something in between. We'll see on that front. But when you go through and you look at the playoff being off the table, I don't want to miss this part because this build up, this lead up has been so much fun. And though the playoff path is out there, it's still important for this team to play well down this stretch, to finish the job. 3 losses by 10 points. And this very well could be a season like 2008. They caught fire late and played as well as anybody in college football late in that season. And we remember those good moments. And we can remember. But when it doesn't go that way, when a team does skid into the finish line, we'll remember that too. Yes, there's not a playoff bid to play for, but there's still those special things about being a Hawkeye. And seeing these guys out there and seeing for the final couple of times Mark Gronowski and doing what he has done and the fun that we've had watching this dynamic runner at the quarterback position and coming in here and seeing what this offensive line is going to do in our final moments with Logan Jones and Jennings Dunker and those guys and what they've done on the offensive line. Some special guys on the defensive side, Aaron Graves and Ethan Hurkett and Max Llewellyn, guys that are the embodiment of Iowa football, the guys that build themselves up to be what they are. We got to see this tight ends get involved again, and you get excited about the future of DJ Vonneman, and you get excited about what this thing still can be going forward in this well-oiled machine, and just with a little bit more upside in that passing game. And what Phil Parker is able to do year after year, and special teams are able to do year after year. We didn't even talk about Drew Stevens knocking in the 58-yarder, just pouting that thing. We have so much to be excited about, to cheer for, to enjoy. And I'm going to enjoy the rest of the season. I'm going to enjoy watching this group. I'm going to enjoy watching the black and gold. That's what Hawkeye fans do. Kinnick Stadium was amazing again. Credit to all of you for bringing it. I need to bring myself to grab a beer, polish one off, go to bed, regroup, and get ready for USC. Let's change the narrative. Let's change that West Coast narrative. Let's change when people think of Iowa football, because this is also the new reality. There's going to be West Coast trips almost every single year. And they're going to have Washington coming up next season on the road. They're going to be going to Oregon in a couple of years. They'll have a road trip out to UCLA as they did a season ago. That's going to be the future. So let's change it now. Let's change it against USC. Do it by beating a ranked team. Do I think it's going to go well? I saw some things against Northwestern that gave me more hope than anything. Here we are. We'll talk about that. Before that, we will take some looks back at this game, dive a little bit deeper as we just give you kind of our raw emotional thoughts back from Iowa City in this one. Iowa falls 18-16 to Oregon. What could have been? We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Thanks for being with us. Hey, again, make sure you hit subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. We are your daily Iowa Hawkeye podcast. And thanks to our everydayers, our everyday listeners out there for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Until then, go Hawks.